Oh, hey, how are you guys doing? It's Chachi Sanchez, the VR citizen. And, yeah. Let's do some Cockpit Compare. I'm Chachi Sanchez, the most immersed man, and welcome to Cockpit Compare. In this series, I use my VR citizen expertise to compare cocks. My job is to get you deeper and closer to these cocks than ever before. And if I did my job right, maybe you'll laugh and learn a little along the way. With that being said, thank you for doing the voodoo that you do down below. In today's episode, we stir up the hornet's nest and see what Anvil's hotshot fighter pilot cocks are like. We have the entire F7 lineup with both the Mark I's and the Mark II civilian and military variants on display. Now, no time to waste, let's get in these cocks and start comparing. The first F7A Hornet came out in 2806 and replaced the Aegis Avenger as the standard medium fighter for the UEE Navy. The F7A Hornet Mark I is the UEE Navy's premier carrier-based fighter craft. It is the frontline attack ship for military combat missions. While not outfitted for long-range runs, the Hornet can take its fair share of hits and dish out a consistent, powerful response. Okay, so, well, a couple of things while we fly over to the site where we park it. The Mark I, first version ever, as you can see, it's got a lot of older design aesthetics to it. No, not as many buttons, switches, and knobs as you would expect. Like this radar behind the actual joystick seems kind of pointless, but I do like the MFDs that pop in and out, as you will notice when we get in and out of the actual ship. Let me show you that right now. Flip, and they move back. Very, very cool. Now, however, it's only got 4 MFDs total, which is not bad compared to some of the later models, believe it or not. But the problem with these early models is that they're not so good. If we're talking about from a pure VR standpoint, yeah. Things that I can't see are this radar behind the joystick, which is really interesting choice there. My knees block the 2 bottom MFDs in the corners, so interesting design choice there. But other than that, it's a pretty slick little ride. Single seater, you can see really good visibility all the way to the turret from behind. And speaking of the turret, let's get to the entire Hornet series party piece. Alright, so it's got all of its guns, and that's very cool and nice. But if we turn on the gimbaling mode, we can now shoot with our joystick, but if I turn on the V-Joy mode, I can now shoot bottom and top turrets with my head. Now, this has a 90 degree on the bottom, but as far as you can reach with the top. So, I think that that's incredible. I don't know if that's actually useful in flight combat yet, but it does take time for the turrets to move, as you can see, but yeah. All of the Hornets are going to be able to do this if you got full head tracking at your disposal. As far as visibility, using the turret out the side, very good. My shoulders are above the window height. I can actually see pretty much everything when using it, so that's pretty cool. Good visibility as far as the cockpit itself goes. Perfect. Let's get down to the surface. The F7A was originally featured in the Star Citizen Kickstarter trailer and pays homage to the Hornet from Wing Commander, which was a light fighter the player started out in. Its legacy is lethality. With its compact and agile design, this formidable aircraft possesses a lethal arsenal able to showcase its deadly firepower and holds a significant place in the annals of UEE Navy, serving as a symbol of historical importance. So, with the Mark I-A, the first in the line of the Hornet series, we have 2 MFDs, and again, 2 lower MFDs, but they are blocked by your knees. Those flip up and pull back as we get in and out of the ship. That's neat and all, but yeah, a little bit of blockage from the body, especially if we're talking about VR users whenever they are leaning and rocking with it. So, yeah, interesting to see there. Let's see here. So, we have older style looking controls. None of these actually look like they're active except for the open exterior, unlike the modern Gold Pass ships, which has fully realized buttons and stuff. Looks like engine on works, exit ship works, but yeah, as you can tell, a lot older style design with not as many switches, but like these weird circular gauges. Just a really kind of older style that you would see from some of the modern ships. However, I will say visibility is great. I'm not too concerned with struts because I play in VR, and if something is blocking with the strut, I could just move out of the way. So struts don't bother me. Visibility, though, looking behind me, this is good. I can see out the back corner, literally over the top of my headrest. I can see kind of behind me. No secondary seat. So, yeah. No, I like it. It's a decent cockpit, but it's definitely showing its age. You have your emergency eject lever right there. So, coming to conclusion, if we go by our 3 Fs of Cockpit Compare, the form of the cockpit is good. Pretty good form to this. It's a good looking cock. Good form cock. The next F is function. Does the cockpit's form follow its function for combat? Yes, I have good visibility. The turrets I can shoot out of it. The MFDs are a little bit blocked by the knees, but otherwise functionality good. Fun. The third F of Cockpit Compare. Is this fun? I love it. The older style gauges and stuff, completely useless and probably won't even light up or power on, but it's still really cool to see history progress as we go through these cocks here. I love it. Pretty fun little cockpit. All right, well, let's get to the next ship, shall we? So that was the F7 Hornet Mark I-A military version. Now, the closest you can get to a civilian variant of that is going to be the Super Hornet. But I don't have a Super Hornet. Instead, I have a Heartseeker. But the Heartseeker is actually broken, and the pinup art vinyl isn't working this patch. So you're just going to have to see the skin without
Vehicle
it.
selected. Your vehicle has
Let's
been
go.
delivered to the following location.
The F7C Hornet is the first civilian ship produced by Anvil Aerospace in 2923, based on the F7A UEE Navy chassis. It is a multi-purpose fighter heavily redesigned to fit non-military components. The F7A's iconic center turret has been taken out and replaced with a cargo hold with a capacity of 2 SCU, but can be swapped for an aftermarket size 4 hardpoint. Due to the UEE military secrecy laws, which state that 60% of the military hardware in a given spacecraft cannot be offered to civilian market, Anvil has to replace existing systems without being given access to their military equivalents. In some cases, designers must reconstruct subsystems based solely on publicly available holographs. Civilianizing top-of-the-line military spacecraft is a frustrating process, but one that has proved ultimately valuable for Anvil. Company profits rose by 34% after the first civilian model F7C Hornet was made available.
Okay, you guys. So, let me be sure to clarify a couple of things here for this series that I forgot to mention earlier. while we were doing all of this cockpit compare and flying around and looking at all these beautiful, beautiful cocks, you guys are looking at right now footage that is off of my 4K monitor on my desktop. That 4K monitor is running Star Citizen in a window at 2.8K by 2.2K and matching the FOV of 115 on my headset. So that way it runs perfectly in my headset. Now, what I see is a little bit different, and let's go to that right now. And this is why Cockpit Compare is so special, because this is actually what I see. So, let's go ahead and go over the Mark I C. Well, it's interesting that the C has 2 extra MFDs, as well as the emergency bar on the top. Also, it's got room in the back seat for someone to operate the turret, but again, because the party piece... Oh, interesting. Those got a bit of a gimbal. That has a gimbal. Oh, but I can no longer shoot the turret. I used to be able to shoot the Wildfire's turret, the big top one. Interesting. I can't even shoot the turret at all. And yet it's listed in the actual laser thing. Alright, so there might be some more bugs with this cock than originally anticipated. But either way, I swear to God, I used to only fly my Heartseeker, and I would use the turret on the top, gimbaled to my head, even though it's meant to be slaved to the co-pilot. With that said, let's get down to Babbage, and let's compare this cock. Goddamn wind is all blowing. That's really unfortunate for this shot, but whatever.
This particular variant displayed is actually the Super Hornet F7C M. With a cock big enough for 2 people, co-pilot turret controls, it's as close as you can get to an F7A loadout as legally possible for the civilian market.
Okay, so with all of that in mind, let us go ahead and swap over to the civilian Mark I. So it's got really good visibility. I can see into the back seat, and I can actually see, I think, a little bit further than the Mark I. This Mark I C has 2 and 2 with the same style MFDs. It's got an extra 2 up top, as well as the warning bar up there. So that's kind of cool, but you still have the same problem with the A variant of your knees blocking you. As well as this radar, once again, is not really visible. Also, you have this cool radar on the thumb of your joystick for some reason. But yeah, I can see the actual radar, so that's good. That is nice. It's definitely a little bit more updated than the actual Mark I-A. There seems to be a little bit more switches and dials, but you still have that classic kind of like circular type things. We got the management CP something or another. It's not fully updated to gold standard, but there are a lot more switches in the civilian variant that people have been able to play with for a lot longer in the PU than the A version, which I think is the only time we'll be flying that is going to be like Squadron 42. So I can kind of see the back seat, not MFDs, but the stuff that the co-pilot will be using, and I can see the turret from behind. Now, used to in VR I had like full complete head tracking, but they limited it so I can't turn all the way around. It's locked to right about there. So, but yeah. Let's go through the 3 Fs. Form of the cockpit, all of them are going to have about the same form, so they all get gold marks for that. The function of this one, pretty solid. The turret, I don't know if it's bugged or whatever, but if it does work with your helmet, then you should have debatably even better visibility. I'm not sure how well it tracks compared to the A, but yeah, overall, pretty neat little functionality that we get out of it. And then fun. You get 2 extra MFDs, you get somebody to yell at behind you. What's not to like? So yeah, that is the F7C Mark I Hornet. Let us get the Mark IIs out here. And then, okay, cool. Send them, you deserve it. Well, see, here's the thing, you guys. I just want to come over here and thank you personally for doing the voodoo that you do. You guys are amazing. And if you happen to have any Twitch Primes, you can send them my way. And if you have a Twitch Prime that you can send my way, that means you also have access to Amazon Prime, the wonderful and great program that gives you access to amazing content such as The Boys, or Invincible Season 2, or how about that new one, the Fallout series? Pretend that there's different graphics popping in and out. I know you can because you are amazing. And thank you for doing the voodoo that you do. And till next time, as always, stay safe and fly right out there. Y'all have a good one. Don't hit that skip button. I know you're trying. I know you're trying. Alright, that's how we do ads around here.
The Anvil F7A Hornet Mark II is the cutting-edge carrier-based fighter revamped from the older F7A Mark I model. In 2946, Anvil released the Mark II to be used only by the United Empire of Earth's Navy, Special Forces, and Elite Squadrons. However, it is now available to the wider market through the Civilian Defense Forces Overdrive Initiative. The F7A Mark II Hornet, designed by Chris Smith, lead vehicle artist in Austin. The idea was to keep the original Mark I Hornet in the game and then add the new Mark II model, completely worked from the ground up with the latest techniques in the pipeline in 2016. Chris Roberts thought it would be cool to have the classic Hornet and the new version run side by side in the online game universe, and players would have the opportunity to keep the old Mark I as a classic collector's item.
Okay then, let's get this show on the road, shall we? So, the Mark II, you only get 2 MFDs. Isn't that interesting? Alrighty then. Also, you get a very, very nice, flashy, updated buttons and dials and switches only style cockpit. Very, very modern cock this. However, visibility out the back already, you can tell is going to be taking a hit. Let's put her through her paces on the way down to the surface. Okay, so yeah, we're definitely losing a lot of visibility with this single-seater. But I can see decently enough to use the party piece, I imagine. Fire, fire, fire. Okay, so the bottom can reach 90 degrees maximum, then top one can basically shoot there. Could be a little bit better, and it does take a long time for it to swing over. My lord. There it is. Okay, boom. There's the turret. I guess it swung all the way around. But depending on where you look, you might be able to land both shots, like right there. It's not bad if you got somebody directly at your side. You can hit them pretty nicely. Other than that, though, I mean, visibility, I don't know, it feels like there's a little bit more strut right here and a little bit less overall visibility to the whole thing. 2 MFDs, no knee blockage. That's really nice. So yeah, let's get down to the surface, shall we?
The F7A Hornet Mark II used to be one of the rarest player-owned ships. It has only been given out to a few individuals in 2017 through the Combo Pack raffle. It can only be spawned in the hangar and was not flyable. On March 16, 2024, it was made flyable, making those individuals the first players who pilot their own F7A Mark II for the first time. Since then, the F7A Mark II has been made available to all players who complete all missions in the Overdrive Initiative event in-game.
So, as we can see from this nice modern cock, we have all the modern amenities that you would expect. Lights, buttons, we got dials, switches, some knobs, only 2 MFDs, but again, our knees are not blocking it. It's actually really, really decently spaced. The visibility, again, as we saw flying in, can be maybe a little bit better in the back, but As far as stuff behind the joystick, you got nothing crazy this time. So yeah, the radar is very, very visible in between the two MFDs. The warning lights are split between the top two MFDs. The only complaint that I would say is functionality, which we will now go into our 3 Fs, I guess. But yeah, the form, they all have the same form, so we'd answer that. The functionality, though, for flying and fight superiority, I'm worried that having 2 less MFDs, I would at least like to have me, my enemy. I would at least expect you'd want the power triangle and then maybe weapons, or be able to swap it to comms until they get rid of the bug where every time someone talks to you, it blocks your target. But, yeah, no, this is a good cock. This is pretty decent. Now, here's the thing is that I believe due to homogenizing, that word, due to that, I believe that the Mark II C and A cockpits are basically about the same. So we're actually going to go double, triple check that real quick while the sun is setting. So let's get out of here.
Throughout the past 150 years, the Anvil Hornet has established itself as the primary military safeguard for humanity. The initial version of this spacecraft established the benchmark for space superiority fighters. While the Mark II model exceeded all expectations, achieving legendary status after the successful covert missions in Odin and a decisive victory at the Battle of Vega.
Okay, let's get this show on the road. Alright, so C civilian variant for the Mark II does indeed have a homogeneous layout as the Mark I. You got your 2 MFDs, no extra ones on the top, the same basic visibility options, but you don't even have a turret on the top or a nose turret added to this one. So yeah, it's basically the exact same as the Mark IIA, except less weapon functionality. But as far as just the ship is concerned, yeah, actually a great ship. Let's go land this and then let's get to the climax of this series, folks.
In response to ongoing challenges in the outer rims of the verse, Anvil introduced the Mark II to the civilian market in 2954, starting with the F7C variant. The Anvil F8C Lightning is the civilian variant of the F8A Lightning, space superiority fighter that is used by the United Empire of Earth Navy today. Released in 2933, it closely mimics the military specs of the original F8A and has been used in lines of defense against Vandal invaders on the civilian front lines in the outer systems. It was made available in extremely limited numbers to the civilian market by Anvil to celebrate the debut of the F8A in the UEE Navy. Even though the F8C is listed as a heavy fighter, it is a more nimble craft than its F7 predecessor.
Welcome to the new powerhouse of the UEE Navy. This is the civilian variant, mind you. It's got lesser guns than the normal military one. No clue if I'll ever get my hands on the military one, or if I'm able to actually do a cockpit compare with that, but I'd figured we'd do this while we had it. So, 4 MFDs, pretty good usage on them. You have your warning lights here split on the top. Your comms are already set up on one of your things so it won't interrupt your targeting. That's pretty nice. You got your power triangle, which I would want to assign somewhere. Much like all the rest of the Hornets, if we actually turn on that and that, we have access to some turret gunnery. I can do the same thing. I can't really aim up as high, but I can definitely shoot out the side there. So I'd say the Hornet is probably a little bit more powerful as far as using head tracking to shoot to the side. Yeah, this is going to have a lot more forward-facing firepower when you need it. The layout of this, it looks honestly a lot like the Mark II cockpit, except for the front, like the actual less crossed struts, that's for sure. So that's interesting. But yeah, the canards kind of get in the way visually. And I feel like the windowsill is a little bit higher up towards the shoulder area compared to the Hornets. But, you know, pretty decent layout so far. Let's go ahead and land this at New Babbage and get down to the nitty-gritty.
CIG released the F8C Lightning from its Pre-Squadron 42 spoiler lock to the concierge owners on October 10th, 2023 in Alpha 3.2.0b.
Alright, so now that we've got it down on the surface, yeah, it has about the same kind of ish layout. I mean, there's a lot less buttons and knobs, but it's, you know, that modern kind of button and knob aesthetic. I have my little UEE flag for my HUD flare. Very, very fun. Your knees don't get in the way of things. The layout of the MFDs is pretty decent. I can, you know, have pretty good visibility. This framing looks like it's the same on the Mark II. I wonder if they just pulled it straight from there and then used that cockpit as a homogeneous base. Anyways, but yeah, that's the Lightning. I mean, you know, it does what it says on the box. It's got a load of guns. Turret you can head track with. What's not to like? That is the full Hornet lineup, you guys. I hope you all enjoy this first episode of Cockpit Compare. Leave me any notes that you can think of down in the comments. Thank you for doing the voodoo that you do, liking, subscribing, all of that jazz. Let me know what you guys want to see next, which two ships or group of ships you want to see go head-to-head in the next Cockpit Compare video. And then I'm going to ignore those and then do what I'm already filming for episode 2. And then episode 3, maybe we'll do that. So, but yeah, thank you so much. And till next time, as always, stay safe and fly right.
They don't make them anymore. You should have seen how passionate he got when I showed him the dick flyer.
You knew that it was a dick?
Well, yeah, I thought we changed it. I thought you guys were changing it.
It was always meant to be a bicep.
Well, then why didn't you cut it like, because it looks totally like a dick. I thought, like, all right, let's go with the dick thing. It's more masculine anyway. I mean, shit, if you want it to be a bicep, it needs more veins.